Now that we have an understanding of outliers and their potential influence on sets of data, especially in determining measures of central tendency, in the final lesson of Section 2, we will investigate when outliers should be included or excluded. To include or not to include? That is the question. Now that we are aware of the potential impact of outliers on our measures of central tendency, do we include them or exclude them? How will outliers influence the measure of central tendency we decide to use to represent a data set? In other words, will the outliers determine our choice of mean, median, or mode? The answers to these questions are not as simple as we would like them to be. Quite often, it will depend on the situation, the context. We do, however, have some guidelines or suggestions for you. First of all, if outliers occur in data sets because of human error, such as incorrect measurements or recordings, they should be ignored. But if outliers are a legitimate part of your data set, these extreme values should be included. The mean will always be affected by the outliers in a data set and can have a significant and sometimes misleading influence. When the data contains outliers that should remain in the data set, consider using the median as the most appropriate measure of central tendency. With these guidelines in mind, let's have a look at an example. Jeans at the jean shop sell in sizes 26 to 38, and at this store there are no half sizes. A record was kept of the sizes of jeans sold on Wednesday. Have a close look at this data set. The question that we will ultimately answer here is which measure of central tendency would best represent this data. The first thing I want you to consider, though, is do we have an outlier in this set of data? The jean sizes recorded include 32, 36, 33, 32, 32, 34, 38, 3, 26, 32, and 34. There is definitely a value here that stands out. That value being 3. This is definitely an outlier, and we can come to the conclusion that there was an error made in recording. We are told that the jean sizes have to be between 26 and 38. 3 is certainly not in between those values. There must have been an error with the recording, so we will exclude this particular value. That then leaves us with 10 pieces of data, and we are going to calculate the mean, the median, and the mode. Our mean, 32, 36, 33, 32, 32, 34, 38, 26, 32, and a 34. Divided by, remember now it's 10 because we have excluded that outlier. When we add the values in our numerator, we get 329. We divide by 10. That gives us a mean of 32.9. Before we get into a discussion as to which measure of central tendency we're going to use, let's actually calculate or find the other two. Secondly, we have median. Median, of course, we're going to organize from least to greatest. 26, 32, 32, 32, 32. Then we have a 33, a 34, another 34, a 36, and a 38. 10 pieces of data, even number of data. We have the two middle pieces scenario. I group the first 4, I group the last 4. In the middle, I have a 32 and a 33, and the halfway point or the midpoint between 32 and 33 will, of course, be 32.5. Median equals 32.5. And now we'll consider the mode. Which gene size appears most frequently? That would be the 32. We have now found our 3 measures of central tendency, If we look, all three values are around 32. However, there is going to be one of these measures of central tendency that we're going to choose, and that will be the mode. And we're going to choose the mode for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you recall the guidelines from the table from a few lessons back, mode often gets used when we talk about shoe sizes, clothing sizes. It works very well for those types of situations, and that's what we have here. Another reason why we are not going to choose median or mean here to be a good number to represent our data set is because we were told initially that our gene sizes go from 26 to 38, but there are no half sizes. That's why I would not choose the median, because that actually has 32 and a half. And anywhere you go, you're not going to be able to buy a pair of jeans that have a size of 32.9. So to conclude, we will choose the mode, which equals 32, to represent the data. Please proceed to the next video in this lesson.